So, hello students, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. And since this is a corona pandemic time, so I was unable to upload any of the videos because I was not having the necessary equipments required for it. So students, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in succession to the topics what I have taken up in biochemistry, the carbohydrate metabolism I have already discussed. In succession to those videos, there is another very favorite question, what is very frequently asked in the various competitive exams. It is about the vitamin C, where you are asked to write about a complete short note and to discuss in detail as to what are the biochemical functions, what are associated with vitamin C. So students, today's video, I'll be mainly focusing upon the important biochemical functions and the biosynthesis as well as the deficiency symptoms what are associated with vitamin C deficiency. So students, students, as you all might be very well aware that vitamin C, it is a water soluble vitamin, because the vitamins A, D, E and K, they are fat soluble, whereas vitamin B complex and C, they fall under the category of the water soluble vitamins. And this water soluble vitamin, vitamin C, it plays a very important role in human health as well as certain diseases what can be caused if its deficiency occurs. So students, so when looking at the chemistry as to how this, what is the chemical structure, what is related to this vitamin C, and the chemical name for it is given the chemical name of ascorbic acid. So students, in the entire video, I'll be taking up vitamin C and ascorbic acid on more or less it is the same thing, so I'll be taking up any of the terms. So when looking at the chemistry of the vitamin C, it is mostly seen that it is a hexose derivative, because the hexose are the 6 carbon compounds what are seen, and these 6 carbon compounds what are mostly you must have seen in the monosaccharides, whereas in the carbohydrates we have already studied about the hexose sugars. So when looking at the chemical structure of vitamin C, it is mostly seen that somewhat it is resembling it is a hexose derivative, that it is derived from a hexose type of sugar, whereas and it is very closely resembling to the monosaccharides what are amongst the hexose sugars. So the structure of the vitamin C closely resembles the ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. The chemical structure of it is closely resembling to the monosaccharides. And one more thing I would like to specify, students, because you might be it is, since the name is acid, so it is going to have a acidic terminal. And the another very important fact what I would need to emphasize is it is the acidic property. So students, I am focusing it over here. In the last I have written the acidic property of this ascorbic acid. It is due to the presence of the enolic hydroxyl group. So between the carbon-carbon atoms there is presence of a double bond, as you can see over here, that this carbon-carbon is containing a double bond along with the hydroxyl terminal attached to it. So this is that it is actually the presence of this enolic hydroxyl group. This double bond is present, which is from where it is getting the name of ene, and olic means the alcoholic terminal is attached to it. It is just because of the enolic hydroxyl group. This vitamin C is got its the acidic property of the ascorbic acid is because of the presence of the enolic hydroxyl group what is present. And one more thing, since because there is a presence of a double bond, so students, in chemistry, when studying organic chemistry, you might be very well aware that those compounds which are containing a double or a triple bond, they are having certain kind, they have the ability of addition of more hydrogens, thereby causing reduction. So this, since the double bond is present in the chemical structure of ascorbic acid, therefore it is also having a strong reducing character. So the acidic character is due to the presence of the enolic hydroxyl group, as I have drawn over here. This is the enolic hydroxyl group, whereas the strong reducing nature, it is due to the presence of a double bond. So these double bonds will break, and that will lead to the addition of hydrogen, thereby causing its reduction. So that's why the ascorbic acid is also showing the property of it is also a very strong reducing agent. So students, moving on to the biosynthesis and metabolism. So students, very important thing is that in humans, vitamin C cannot be synthesized. The fact what I need to emphasize is that vitamin C cannot be synthesized in certain primates and humans, whereas there are certain animals who can synthesize this ascorbic acid from glucose. They have the potentiality, their body has the potentiality to synthesize this ascorbic acid from glucose, but this property of synthesizing the ascorbic acid within the body is not found in certain primates, including the guinea pigs and bats, and whereas in certain mammals as well, this ability to synthesize vitamin C in the body is not found. It is due to the deficiency of the enzyme, which is called as the enzyme I need to specify. It is the L-gluconolactone oxidase. Very important, students. I need to emphasize it over here that it is this enzyme, that is L-gluconolactone oxidase. It is the deficiency of this enzyme which is responsible for not causing the synthesis in primates and mammals, particularly in humans. So it is because of this enzyme deficiency is there. So vitamin C cannot be synthesized in humans. On the other way, there are certain animals who can synthesize vitamin C from glucose. So the pathway what is involved, the pathway needs to be emphasized. It is the uronic acid pathway. So it is the uronic acid pathway what is responsible for the synthesis of ascorbic acid in certain animals. So this uronic acid pathway, for its conduction, for its happening, the enzyme L-gluconolactone is essential. So since this enzyme is deficient in guinea pigs, mammals, so vitamin C cannot be synthesized here. So moving on as to how the metabolism is occurring. So vitamin C, it is very readily absorbed from the intestine, but the fact what needs to be emphasized is that it cannot be stored in the body for longer periods. Vitamin C cannot be stored in the body for longer periods, and to a significant extent, even if it is stored in certain levels, as I'll discuss in the adrenal cortex, during the times of stress, vitamin C is stored. It is containing large quantity of ascorbic acid is present in the adrenal gland. So even if the vitamin C, if it is stored in the human body also, it is not stored to a significant extent. And also when looking at the excretion for it, so ascorbic acid is very readily excreted in urine, either in its own very form, that is the ascorbic acid form, or there are certain metabolites of it which are known as the diketogluconic acid and the oxalic acid. So either vitamin C, it will excreted in the urine in the own form, that is in the ascorbic acid manner. In the ascorbic acid form, it is either excreted in the urine, or it can get converted into its metabolites, which is the diketogluconic acid and the oxalic acid. So students, start beginning with the biochemical functions. So one of the first and most important biochemical function for vitamin C, it is the collagen formation, because nowadays this is the cosmetic era and vitamin C is being more laid stress upon by the cosmetologist and the beautician professionals. They are emphasizing more on the things which are related to vitamin C, because more or less this collagen formation is very important for a healthy skin. The collagen, which is the most important ingredient of the skin, in the tightening of the skin, it is the vitamin C. So the first biochemical function, it is the collagen formation. And the fact what I need to emphasize is that vitamin C is very, very important for the hydroxylation of proline and lysine. Proline and lysine, in the presence, when vitamin C is going to act as a coenzyme, their hydroxylation is going to occur, and finally proline will get converted to hydroxyproline. So in this, unless and until this proline gets converted into hydroxyproline, the protocollagen cannot be converted into collagen. So for the conversion of protocollagen to collagen, that is the immature form of collagen to the mature collagen fibrils, so this vitamin C is the most important coenzyme what is required. Whereas moving on to the next important biochemical function, it is the bone formation. So since the most in the entire bone tissue, the organic matrix is there, the collagen fibrils are there. Since the within the bone tissue, it possesses a very rich quantity of organic matrix, collagen, and inorganic calcium and phosphate is there. So there also the collagen is the very important ingredient or the constituent. Collagen is a very important constituent of the bone. So vitamin C is required for in the synthesis of bone formation. It is also required because the collagen, for its maturation, vitamin C is indirectly involved. Moving on to the iron and hemoglobin metabolism. So student, the fact what I need to emphasize is that it is this vitamin C, if it is ingested, if it is taken in diet in a good form, the basic role what is involved in the iron metabolism is that vitamin C, it enhances the absorption of dietary iron. How? By making the iron in the ferrous form. So vitamin C is going to enhance the intestinal absorption of iron by making the iron present in the ferrous form. And this implies that for the intestinal absorption of iron, there is a must, there has to be, the iron needs to be present in the ferrous form. If it is in the ferric form, it won't be able to be absorbed. So for the maintenance of the iron in the ferrous form, vitamin C is very, very important. Another important in the hemoglobin metabolism. So vitamin C is very, very important for the conversion of the methemoglobin to hemoglobin. So methemoglobin will be converted to hemoglobin in the presence, only and only in the presence of vitamin C. And the last but not the least, that is after the hemoglobin, after the degradation of the RBCs after 120 days, when the RBCs gets recycled, the hemoglobin degrades. And ultimately by the degradation of the hemoglobin, the bile pigments, they are being produced. So the bile pigments what are being produced by the hemoglobin degradation, again vitamin C the presence of vitamin C is a must for the degradation of hemoglobin to bile pigments. Moving on to the next very important biochemical function, it is the tryptophan metabolism. So students, you all might be very well aware that during the synthesis of the vasoconstrictor serotonin, the serotonin and the histamine, these are the large variety of the vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. So in the synthesis of serotonin, it has been seen that tryptophan is the very most important protein, most important thing. So during the tryptophan metabolism, that is the tryptophan amino acid, the hydroxylation of the tryptophan, it requires the presence of vitamin C. So this hydroxytryptophan is basically involved in the synthesis of serotonin. Moving on to the next, that is in the tyrosine metabolism. So students, the fact what I need to emphasize is that is the para-hydroxy-phenyl pyruvate. This enzyme I have written, para-hydroxy-phenyl pyruvate. The oxidation of this in the presence of the hydroxylase enzyme, it is converted into homogentisic acid, and this homogentisic acid, the formation of it in the tyrosine metabolism procedure, vitamin C plays a very important key role. Moving on to the next, that is in the synthesis of the peptide hormone synthesis. So there are certain peptide hormones which contain a terminal hydroxyl group, that at the end of the peptide hormone there has to be presence of a terminal hydroxyl OH group. So this OH, terminal hydroxyl amide, it is basically derived from the hydroxylation of glycine. So glycine, the chemical structure of glycine is NH2CH2COOH. So vitamin C, the amide terminal of this glycine gets hydroxylated in the presence of the enzyme peptidoglycine hydroxylase, in the presence only and only in the presence of vitamin C, which is very essential for its hydroxylation. So the terminal amide, what is seen in the most of the peptide hormones, they are coming from the simplest amino acid, that is glycine, and from this, the hydroxylation of this glycine, what is required in the synthesis of many peptide hormones, it is indirectly dependent upon the presence of vitamin C. So here also the role of vitamin C can be seen. Moving on to the synthesis of corticosteroid hormones. So the next very important function of this vitamin C, what I need to emphasize over here, it is that during the periods of stress, the adrenal gland of the human body contains large quantities of ascorbic acid. So again, this ascorbic acid, it is very important in the synthesis of certain corticosteroid hormones, the glucocorticoids, the mineralocorticoids, and the sex corticoids, what are being released from the adrenal gland. So many corticosteroid hormones, they are being synthesized. Adrenal gland is containing high levels of ascorbic acid, particularly in the periods of stress. Moving on to the next very, very important function of vitamin C, it is the antioxidant property. So students, it is just because of the antioxidant property, which is the very, very important property of this vitamin C, because vitamin C is a very strong antioxidant, and this antioxidant property of it is helping in the sparing action of other vitamins, particularly the vitamins A, E and B complex. They are prevented from oxidation just because of the presence of vitamin C. Because if vitamin C is present, it is going to spare the oxidation of other vitamins, that is A, E and B complex. So very important, the antioxidant role, it is preventing the oxidation of these A, E and B complex vitamins. So the role of vitamin C is very, very essential in the sparing action of these vitamins. Moving on to the immunological functions. So nowadays, since it is the corona pandemic time, and this during the corona pandemic, nowadays people are more involved that the immunity should be very good. One needs to enhance its immunity. One needs to be laying more stress on the immune power should be increased. The immunity of the person should be good in order to fight this virus. So how? Nowadays in India, particularly the role of the vitamin C in hot water, they are making and they are drinking it. Just because the vitamin C, because the immunological functions, what are associated is that this vitamin C is involved in the synthesis of large number of antibodies or the immunoglobulins. So vitamin C, it enhances the synthesis of large number of antibodies, and a number of antibodies, they are being synthesized just because of the presence of vitamin C. Or vitamin C is very essential for the production of antibodies. So this is the immunological function of it. Also, there has been also seen, there is an evidence that vitamin C, it increases the phagocytic action of the leukocytes. So the engulfment by the leukocytes of the foreign agents, foreign noxious chemicals or injurious agents, what are being there in the body, the phagocytes, they are going to engulf those foreign bacteria, viruses or whatever it is. So if this phagocytic action of the leukocytes is greatly enhanced in the presence of vitamin C, so this is the immunological function, which is the very, very important function of vitamin C. Moving on to the last but not the least, since vitamin C is very important in the synthesis of collagen, so therefore it has also been seen that vitamin C plays a very important role in the prevention of cataract and certain chronic diseases such as the cancer, the cataract, and the coronary heart diseases. So in these vitamin C, the presence of vitamin C, it decreases the risk of acquiring these chronic diseases. Moving on to the last, now looking at the recommended dietary allowance. So it is mostly seen that 60 to 70 milligrams per day of vitamin C is required in a healthy adult. So this is the recommended dietary allowance, and if it is in the cases of women who are pregnancy, in the cases of pregnancy and lactation, 20 to 40% additional intake, 20 to 40% of this 60 to 70 milligram additional intake of vitamin C is recommended in women who are undergoing through pregnancy or during the periods of their lactation. So this was about the chemistry, the biosynthesis and the metabolism I have discussed, and the biochemical functions. Now looking at the deficiency symptoms. So students, the fact what I need to emphasize over here, it is the whatever the deficiency symptoms of vitamin C are there, most of the symptoms what are associated with vitamin C deficiency, it is due to impairment in the collagen synthesis. So if there is an impaired collagen synthesis, whatever the symptoms are, whatever the deficiency symptoms they are going to manifest, it is more or less directly or indirectly associated with it. So most of the symptoms what are related to vitamin C deficiency, you can find the striking peculiar feature, it is that is there is somewhere or the other there is an impairment in the synthesis of collagen, and the antioxidant property of vitamin C is being hampered in some way or the other. So the deficiency symptoms can be counted upon as there can be spongy and sore gums, there can be loose teeth. Since vitamin C is very important in the absorption of iron, the patient may manifest, the person, if there is a deficiency of vitamin C, that will indirectly lead to impaired iron absorption, that can cause anemia, that can cause swollen joints as well. There, since the blood vessels and the blood capillaries, collagen is the very important ingredient or the constituent of the blood vessels and the capillaries. So if the blood capillaries they are devoid or they are having immature collagen, so capillary fragility, the capillaries may become fragile and the fragile blood vessels can be seen. Since just now I have discussed about the immunological functions, so since vitamin C is very important for the synthesis of immunoglobulins or the antibodies, so if there is deficiency of vitamin C, there is decreased immunocompetence, so that the person's ability to fight diseases is hampered. So there is a decreased immunocompetence, and ultimately since the collagen formation defective is there, so it can also be seen that people who are deficient in vitamin C, that takes a longer time for their wounds to heal. So there is an impairment in the wound healing process as well. And very important, since this vitamin C is very important, it is stored in, ascorbic acid is stored in large quantity during the periods of stress in the adrenal cortex. So it has also been reported that there can occur sluggish hormonal functions due to deficiency of vitamin C, and sluggish hormonal functions and the functions of gonads can also be impaired. Whereas since these are all the related associated things, what are mostly or some or the other way they are directly or indirectly linked to the impairment in the collagen production. So there can be frequent hemorrhages, they can be frequent, since the bone, if the bone is having an ingredient as collagen, so if the vitamin C deficiency is there, there will be no mature collagen within the bone, that can lead to osteoporosis as well. So students, this was a short discussion about, and the most important, the deficiency, what is mostly you must have read in your undergraduate during the school days, that the scurvy, the manifestation of scurvy, that is bleeding and sore gums. So that is also due to due to the deficiency of vitamin C. So students, this was a very short discussion in which I have discussed about the chemistry, the biosynthesis and metabolism of the vitamin C, and I have discussed about the biochemical functions along with the recommended dietary allowance and the deficiency symptoms. So students, if you do have any queries or comments, or there are certain topics what you need that I should discuss in biochemistry, you are most welcome to comment me in the comment section. And those students who are visiting my channel for the first time and they haven't subscribed yet, please go do subscribe my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you can be further updated for my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.